Lately, I've been forced to try to understand why the state of Washington is closing senior centers that were exemplary, which have been in operation for 40 years. The apparent philosophy that has changed dramatically is that putting seniors into intergenerational settings is for some reason regarded as more promising than putting us in settings where we care for one another, in settings designed specifically for our own generation. I'm not able to read minds and don't purport to be able to read minds. I could be wrong. But when I noticed someone who was 17 years old, perhaps, looking at me as though from a great distance, I believed that I felt as if this person was communicating, why are we stuck with people like you who've given us so little? So there's a competing understanding about why the senior centers could be being closed. And there's, in the activism of the current situation in politics, an awareness that young people have to um, able to seize the day when it comes to the issues of genocide and global warming. And I'm 64 years old. It's alleged that I didn't do my share when it came to these topics. First, I'm not a good reason for overall generational closure. If your problem is with me, steady yourself. You don't have to subject every senior citizen who simply doesn't go along with the presentation of UW Dialectical about me in such a way as to immiserate them too. You've obviously taken quite a bit out on me. What I think young people do know is that the government will continue to say you should take the reins and get involved and take responsibility because it's your democracy too. In other words, they're not going to say your democracy has already been overthrown. Your democracy has already been slapped in the face. Your democracy has already been turned upside down. It has already fallen. They're going to say, don't let it fall. Get out there and be involved. So some people may indeed believe that intergenerational involvement of seniors with the young is in all of our best interests. In order for that to be proven true, it's going to take quite a bit of commitment. And there is, of course, the issue of laws about democracy and various agendas attending the state of Seattle because of UW Dialectical's criminal hypocrisy and duplicity and penchant for organized crime and loyalty to Yoko Ono and Donald Trump, and I don't know who else. And what these people spitting nails behind everybody's backs will argue is that there's something um, it's foregone liberal failure for a person to have gone through what they consider to be justified, manufactured escapades to illustrate their point about the liberal sexual freedoms. And am I raking the course of the past or just explorations of lustful memories? Because they put me through a semester at sex as an argument against paying attention to ecological arguments, to sustainable development goals, and philosophical educational theories concerning foreign exchange. And they say I didn't put the time into those arguments and into those directions. There was an emergency. In other words, this 17-year-old may actually theoretically profit from the preservation of the actual facts of the ordeal. It is worth knowing for your own self-preservation that mysteriously my neighbor in the city of Pittsburgh was an Attica State Prison psychiatrist. Yes, that is worth knowing for two very important reasons that are obvious. Wadmaker is a signal name. It's from an index. And this person was running an organized union criminal trafficking ring that kidnapped me and stolen cars and tortured me. And it's remarkable in light of all of that oppression, violence, deafness, that I managed to keep going on the ecological issues. That even today, just before Greta Thunberg appeared on the scenes, and I admire her to no end, I took courses in climate change at a community college. I had to move a long way to get courses about climate change too. After having moved back east thousands of miles to get Native American studies in another community college. I'm going back and forth, by the way, in poverty by train, homeless, taking big chances in my old age. I ended up pretty brutalized. So I'm not saying that the issues that are foremost are not foremost, just that they can and will be done by others, whereas the preservation of knowledge about what happened and how it was purposely orchestrated to derail will not be preserved by others. And anybody who thinks that those memories of those girls are good memories has never had a neuroplasm detonated inside their skull. Okay, so when you look at Gaza, scholasticism is a major issue there. The Zionists who tortured me, who are the same group of people, blew up the universities and libraries and hospitals and so forth. Now, I have been warning about them. That's one of the reasons it's important to understand that my neighbor was maneuvered into Pittsburgh as an Attica State Prison psychiatrist who was a Zionist extremist named Bernard Wadmaker. It's important to understand that they used Beebe as a signifier for Henry Wade. Wade Beebe was in the index in the city of Pittsburgh. It's important to understand these facts. It's important to investigate these facts because if you do, it's possible to address them legally, scholastically, from the scholarly point of view of police work. So while I realize you have to move on, you have to other things, you have other priorities. This is how I ended up adapting to my circumstances and adjusting my priorities to protect your rights to be free spirits as young people. So if you look at the dispute that was in the letters of the University of Pittsburgh with the administration, it was all this dark, dour stuff about the nature of reality. And their disciples were promoting gang warfare and murdering senior faculty who disagreed with them and saying that having piranhas at fraternity parties and piranha boats at fraternity parties and so on. And they're talking about the nature of reality ad nauseum. when obviously nature of reality is climate change. But the thing that you understand, Greta has failed to square up about is that these people plan this. Just as Nosferatu and Yav Galant came right out and announced that they were going to commit a genocide of Gaza. Owen Jones talks about it over and over again. If you want to know their meditation, what they're going to do, listen to them. These people knew that the climate was going to change. They wanted to change. They want a spectacular. It's a Darwin thing, survival of the fittest. They want you to be fooled about their premeditation in the matter. One of these professors comes down. I got seduced, and he comes to poetry open night, and very angry. Pop goes the savior. And he said over and over, "Pop goes the savior." He had this poem. It was a pretty good poem, you know. But this is his idea, and I'm like, what is the mentality here? The mentality here, because AIDS had just happened. My research shows that these idiots have actually been told to adopt a survival of the wisest idea that justifies to them the AIDS attack. So they were going to derail that ecological stuff because it was interfering with the lesson plan. They weren't ready to announce that they want people in the climate cause. They weren't ready to do it. No, you're interfering with the lesson plan. So you have something to gain from seeing what Pitt and UW Dialectical mongered and visited on me. These people say I did it to myself. I was shot, hit blindside. Not shot, but it was like being shot. I was hitting as an 11-year-old. I weighed less than 100 pounds, and I was hitting the back of the head. I didn't do that to myself. They gave my name to the person who attacked me so that they could say, you did it to yourself cosmically.